Our soul loves hanging out with other souls. Why does the soul have to come down into this world, this harsh reality, and deal with all the hardships of the world? And essentially, what this song is telling us is that there's a purpose of why our soul comes down into this world. There's a purpose, and for what we are doing here, there's a purpose of why we're here. And this is the idea of the soul. So let's get into today's lesson and let's begin to talk about some of the important subjects. And that is, oftentimes people ask, what is my role in this world? There are so many different moving parts in the universe that we live in. How am I supposed to absorb and how am I supposed to embrace all these different things that are being thrown at me? Okay, let's just say technology, or let's just say food options. You come to a restaurant and the menu is 3 pages long. Why can't it just be simple? Do you want this or that? Finished. But every single time we go into a Starbucks, there's 100 different questions. What do I want? How do you want it? What kind of milk? What kind of how much sugar? Large, a medium, a small, grande, latte, all the different. There's so many. So how am I supposed to deal with all these things that are being thrown at me? Sometimes it can seem so quite overwhelming, and I don't know how to respond to all these things that are being requested of me or being thrown at me. So the question is not new. Our parents, grandparents, great-grandparents had to deal with all these questions also. They also struggled with what is the purpose of me being here in the shtetl? What is the purpose of me living where I'm living? Sometimes we lived in a wealthy family. Sometimes we lived in a poor family in poverty. But the question remains the same. And that is, how am I supposed to deal with the people around me, the interactions, the world around me, and how am I supposed to respond to what is going on? And also, even more so, what is my responsibility to these things that are going on in the world around me? So in short, the question is, how do I deal with the world that I currently live in? That is the short question. And the short answer is we have to embrace the world, embrace everything that is thrown at us. There's a game, I don't know if you've played this game when you were younger, but now they have the game is on every app, and you have these games that maybe Ninja Warrior or another game similar to that. All these items are thrown at you, and you have to dodge these things that are being thrown at you. All these different things. There's certain things you have to catch, certain things you have to discard, certain things you have to avoid completely. But everything's being thrown at you fast, fast, fast. And the higher levels you go, the faster these things are being thrown at you. And you have to move from place to place, up and down, to avoid these things or to catch it, whatever it is. And this is almost symbolic of life. These things are being thrown at us. And so the Torah is telling us, embrace everything that's being thrown at you. When you go to your mailbox and you open it up and you have a thick pile of mail, what do? You have to begin to sort them out. Some of the things you want to keep. Some of the things for sure are trash. Then the third pile is you're not sure. You want to look at it a second time, right? And this is exactly the Jewish response to the world that we live in. I think everything we have to collect, we got to collect everything that comes into our mailbox. Everything that's thrown at us, we have to collect. And then we have to look at it. Do I discard it? Do I keep it? Or do I have to put it aside and look at when I have a little bit more time? And that's precisely how we have to look at the world. Because some people look at the world and say, oh man, this world's a terrible place. I got to run away from it. Let me move to Timbuktu. Let me move to a mountain and live somewhere secluded on my own. Let me get off the grid. Some people say, oh no, let me embrace everything in this world. And they come into a big zombie because everything that is offered to them, they take and they learn with and they put it into their mouths, put it into their lives. And that can be harmful also. Then other people say, wait a second, let me see what's being thrown at me. And then I will decide if this is going to be helpful for me in fulfilling my mission, or it's going to be detrimental to my purpose in life. So the question is, how do I know what's helpful to me or what's going to be detrimental to me, right? That's the next question. So the first answer that the founder of the Chabad movement in his magnum opus, the Tanya, chapter 27 talks about, he says that deep down, each and every one of us knows pretty much what's good for us. For example, you know what foods you like, what foods you don't like. Now, it's possible that you've learned what foods you like by trying certain foods and realizing that it doesn't sit well with you. It hurts your stomach, it makes you sick. So from then on, you would avoid food like that. Other times, you're approached and you're introduced to new dishes, new foods, and sometimes you want to be explore it and you want to be adventurous and try a new dish, and sometimes it'll be good for you. Say, wow, this is a new introduction. Let me add this to my diet. And other times you're going to say, no, this is just not for me. It's not right. So as we mature, as we grow, we learn that certain things are good for me and certain things are not good for me, whether it's with food, with exercise, or with friends. We have certain friends that are helpful to me, that are advantageous to my conduct, to my behavior, and I'm learning and I'm growing from them. Certain friends that are downers, that really are not necessarily helpful to my growth or to my being a good, positive, contributing member of society. And so the same thing is also with everything in life. Everything in life, we have the power to elevate. So let's say we come encounter with something that may not be that positive to me. We're not seeing that positive. I can either discard it, or I can say, wait a second, hold on 1 second. Maybe I shouldn't discard it, because maybe I can elevate it. So let me explain what this means, okay? So we have the pile of mail that we know for sure is important. We have the pile of mail that we know for sure is going to be discarded. Why? Why is it going to be discarded? Because why do we know that certain things are going to be discarded? There can be one or two reasons. Either because it's bad for me, therefore I don't even want to see it. Or it can be because I don't have the power to transform it, to make positive use of this offer that I'm being offered. Or maybe it's a political campaign that is being sent to you. Doesn't talk to me. This particular representative or this particular party, whatever they're saying, the big letters, turns me off. So I discard it. But we really have to ask ourselves the question, why did I get it into my mailbox? Why did it come to me? In other words, did it come to me because I have the power to do something about it, to elevate it, to refine it, to fix it? Or is it unredeemable? Okay. Now, there's certain things in this world that are irredeemable. In Hasidic terminology, it is called the three unclean klipos, the three unholy sources of things that come into this world, or 3 unclean shells, to be precise. And those are things that are irredeemable. We do not have the power to elevate. But most things that we come in contact with, we can elevate. And that is the typical item that we are approached with, or we're thrown at on a daily basis. The good things we can handle, no problem. The bad things we throw away. The middle things are the challenged places. And that's the question that we're going to address today. How do I deal with these items that seem to be neutral? They're not bad. They're not detrimental to me. They're not either necessarily clearly good for me. How do I respond to these items? In Jewish thought, we know that God does not create anything that is extra. Everything that's created in this world has a distinct purpose. Some of those things, the purpose is not to be like it. Let's say you encounter a person. What is the purpose of that person? Perhaps the purpose is that I should learn from that person how not to behave. That's also a lesson, right? It's a lesson. My encounter with another person may be how I should behave. And the same thing is with every single thing, any food, any drink, any material object, any computer, smartphone, even the apps in the smartphones. I have to ask, is this beneficial to me or is this detrimental to me? Is this helping me fulfill my purpose, serve God, serve my Creator, be there for my fellow human being, or is it taking away time from me doing what I need to do? Let's take, for example, the chair you're sitting on or the couch you're sitting on right now. You can ask, what's the purpose of this metal or that wood or that cushion that you're sitting on? Or if you're like Victor, you're walking around, whatever, right? What is the purpose of the sneakers, the shoes that I'm wearing? Just a piece of rubber, piece of material? And the answer to that question is, it depends on how you are sitting on that chair or using those walking shoes. In other words, what are you doing while you're sitting? What are you doing while you're walking in those sneakers? Are you walking or sitting to do something good? Or am I sitting and doing just nothing productive? If we're doing something good, then at that moment that we're sitting on that chair, we are elevating all the materials that we are using to sit on. We're elevating all the materials that are in our shoes. Not only us, we're elevating also the manufacturer, the designer of that particular thing that we are engaged in. But you can ask, come on, really, Rabbi? It's just a piece of leather or a piece of fabric. I'm elevating it. What am I doing? Come on, you really? The answer is that everything that God creates, as we said, has a purpose. There's nothing that's created that's extra. Everything has a role. And we have the power, is given to us, which I'm going to explain in a moment how that is, to take that physical item and use it for something good, something purposeful, and something meaningful. I know that this puts a lot of pressure on me because now we're going to say, wait a second. Oh my goodness. Before I sit down, I have to say, wait. I'm sitting on this couch. Am I going to do something good on the couch or not good on the couch? Am I going to elevate it? So let's not be so fearful. Let's relax a little bit. I'm talking now about the concept. When we understand the concept, we'll be able to then translate into our daily life in a very calm and uplifting and powerful way. So from the concept is that everything that God creates has a purpose. The next idea is that we have the power to elevate everything that we come in contact with. Okay? Let's say we want to decorate our house. Right? You buy a piece of art. What's the purpose of this decoration in the house, this piece of furniture? Has no beneficial, I'm not using it as a plate to eat on. It just sits in one place. It does nothing. But the truth is, if it brings me happiness, and the fact that I'm happy I'm more open to be friendlier with somebody, then that particular item has been elevated to be used for a positive purpose. It doesn't have to be something huge. We're not necessarily talking about changing the world with each thing that we do, but the point is we're using that particular item. It is being used for something holy, something greater and beyond ourselves. So what does this mean for us? It means simply that each and every one of us has the power to live a life that is beyond ourselves. In other words, we can take the things, the non-tangibles or the items around us, and we use it as something positive. We have the power to expand our reach and our influence on the things that we come in contact with. So we're not just this one little tiny being that I'm only involved in my daily activities or the few people that I meet on a day or the things that I do. No, but we have the power to expand our reach way beyond ourselves. What does that mean? That means that we are not just this finite, small being, but we are huge, contributing members of society. That is an empowering thought. That is a humbling thought. Because when I try to think about it, wait a second, if this is really the case, that through me utilizing these things in this world for a proper purpose, and I'm able to elevate it, now I say, wait a second. I don't want to squander that opportunity. I want to utilize that as a chance to really make a difference on my surroundings. Therefore, God, in his infinite wisdom, didn't just throw us into the world and say, figure it out. You have a world, you're great, I believe in your potential, now figure it out. No, no, no. He gave us tools to be able to elevate the world that we live in. There was once a Hasidic rabbi who was talking to his student, and he asked him if during his morning prayers, does he meditate? Does he spend some time meditating? Or does he just read the words and move on? And so a student said that I meditate. I try to meditate as best as possible. And so the teacher asked him, he says, how do you meditate? What do you meditate about? So at this particular day, the student said, today I meditated about the wooden table that I was sitting at. He was meditating, in other words, that the table that he's sitting at is being used to assist me to pray, is assisting me to serve God, is assisting me to give me the strength that when I go out to work, right after the prayer, I'll be able to remain attached to the infinite God. So this wood then is not just a simple hunk of clay or just a dead piece of wood, but it's a living organism that is actually assisting the creation of the world and the purpose of why God made everything. Does that make sense? That's a profound idea. That little piece of wood or that bench that I was sitting on or chair that I was sitting on was created from the moment that God created the world, knew that there's going to be a time that this piece of material is going to be made in this particular manner with these chemicals or these metals or whatever is going to be shaped in this way. The machines that are used to shape it, to make the springs and so on and so forth, is there to help you, me, that are sitting down to pray, to be able to connect to the Creator, and thus gaining the inner strength that I need, that when I go out into the world, I will be able to not cheat, not lie, but able to be friendly, be kind, and elevate the people that we speak to in the most uplifting and beautiful manner. So now, this chair, this table, truly is fulfilling the purpose of why God set in motion all these things that needed to happen, the tree to grow, the tree cutters, the machinery, etc., etc. There's a story that is told of the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Chabad Rebbe. And somebody asked him, he says, I don't understand why Jews live in this country. He lived in Russia at the time. Why do Jews, who's such a minority, have to live in this country with so many people who don't like them, don't appreciate them? You're a minority of a minority of a minority. What's the purpose of the Jews living in this small little country? So he said, tell me, what does it say on the tag inside your jacket? So the fellow looks and he says, made in Russia. He says, exactly. And what do you do when you wear that jacket? He says, well, I'm wearing that jacket to be able to stay warm. He says, why do you want to stay warm? So I could therefore have the strength that I need to pray. And why do you want to pray? So I can connect to God and have the strength to be able to help my fellow man. He said, exactly. He says, so by you living in this country and elevating the products of this country, utilizing for God, that is why you're living here. Because if you weren't here, who was going to elevate the country that you're living in? In other words, the fact that we're living in the place that we're living is in order for us to utilize the opportunities that we are given to do something good with it. Now, what's the flip side? The flip side is that if we don't use our time in a constructive, in a productive manner, then in a sense, we're saying, God, you wasted your resources by creating this chair or this couch or this person because I'm not learning anything from them. So the fact that God gives us another day to live means that God trusts that we will utilize the purpose that he gives us for a uplifting way of living. And this is so also, one can say, what's the purpose of me buying, I don't know, made in China item or something else, or made in the USA? And of course, the reason is because by me buying this product, whatever the product is, as trivial and as seemingly unimportant as this product is, but if we use the strength that I got from that product, the joy that I got from that product, I use it to do something good, then I'm elevating that particular product, which is why one has, the Chassidus tells us, the Chassidic philosophy says, we should embrace everything that comes our way, because by doing so, we're not squandering anything, but we see everything as an opportunity for a greater good. And this particular task was given to each and every one of us. You see, God gave us the tools that we need. He didn't just give us a piece of wood and say, here's a table. He gave us the nails, he gave us the hammer, and he gave the measuring tape and the saw. He says, I gave you all the tools that you need in order to build the bench that can assist you in serving the Creator, to build the table that you need. The word for Jew in Hebrew is Yisrael. The Jewish people are the children of Israel, the Bnei Yisrael. What does Yisrael mean? Yisrael is an acronym for 5 letters. The letter Yud, letter Sin, Resh, Aleph, and Lamed. Yisrael. Yisrael is an acronym for 5 words, which spells out there are 600,000 letters in the Torah. What does that mean? That there are 600,000 letters of the Torah? To be honest, there's actually not 600,000 of letters in the Torah. There's actually, I think, 304,805 letters in the Torah. So it's not 600,000. So how does it get to the 600,000 number? And the answer is that if anyone has looked at the Torah, you'll notice that there are no 2 letters that are attached, because the space in between the letters are also letters. If I were to speak like this, you wouldn't understand what I'm saying. If I would speak really fast without pausing in between, it'll be hard to understand what we're saying. So the pause also contributes to the meaning of the words. So the white space in between the black letters, our sages tell us, are equally flaming fire words. They also have meaning to it and symbolism and significance. So the black letters, the 304,805 black letters, these spaces in between make 600,000 letters. Okay? That's how we get to the 600,000. This number, 600,000, is very significant, because we are told that there were 600,000 souls of the Jewish people that left Egypt. And the Jewish nation is called the children of Israel when we left Egypt. In other words, when did we get the name, the children of Israel, or Israel, the Jewish people? When we are comprised of 600,000 souls. Now again, to be honest, it's not exactly accurate because more than 600,000 Jews left Egypt. Several million Jews left Egypt, approximately 3 million. The 600,000 number is really just a number of the males between the ages of 20 and 60, not younger males, not older males, not females, not children. So it's a very limited number. So why the 600,000 number? What does the 600,000 number signify or symbolize? And the 600,000 actually is a number that the Torah gives us to highlight that there are indeed only 600,000 souls. Meaning to say that there are 600,000 root souls. That's the key word. There are 600,000 root souls within the Jewish nation. Because we know there's many more than 600,000 Jews today. Thank God. 7 million, 15 million, something like that. So where does the 600,000 come from? That 600,000 is the root souls. And basically, just like a flame, you can light multiple candles from an original flame. You can have many souls from an original soul, right? Each soul can be broken apart. And each soul does not lose its potency or its greatness or its individuality or its personality. So each soul, while being part of the 600,000 root souls, why is that significant? Because when you think about it, each soul then is connected with another letter of the Torah. There's 600,000 letters in the Torah, 600,000 souls. Each person is connected with another letter of the Torah, which is why, as a side note, the Lubavitcher Rebbe encouraged each and every Jew to purchase a letter in a Sefer Torah. When we buy a letter in a Sefer Torah, we are uniting with everybody, all the Jewish people, in that Torah and in every Torah that is ever written. There are kids' Torahs, there's adults' Torahs. It's good to have a letter in every Torah. It's a side note. But what does that mean that each letter is attached to another root soul? And it works like this. It goes as follows. God gave us 613 commandments, 248 positive commandments, and 365 negative commandments. The role of a Jew is ultimately to fulfill all 630 commandments. Now, let's be honest, that's impossible. It's an impossible ask for anybody to do all of it, especially not today's day and age, because today, many commandments apply only to a priest. Most of us are not in the priestly family. Many commandments apply only if we're in the Holy Temple. There's no Holy Temple today. Many commandments only apply if you live in the land of Israel. We don't live in the land of Israel. Some do. Many don't. Most Jews don't. Some laws apply only to women. Not everybody's women. Some laws apply only to men. Not everybody. So it's impossible for all of us to do all the 630 commandments. So how can the Torah or God request of us to fulfill the 630 commandments? And the answer is that each of us has one mitzvah that we have to do. And when we do that one mitzvah, because we're connected, we're united, everybody's fulfilling all the mitzvahs. When the priest does his mitzvah, the man does theirs, the woman does theirs, the child does theirs, the elderly does theirs, and so on and so forth. The one living in Israel does theirs. All together, we fulfill the 630 commandments. And because we're all combined, we're all one, we're one nation, we're all Yisrael, there's 600,000 letters in the Torah, we're all connected, we're all one, by one person doing a mitzvah, everyone fulfills their obligation of doing that mitzvah. But that's only if we each do our mitzvah. Not if I do your mitzvah, you have your mitzvah and I have my mitzvah. If I do my mitzvah, then I connect the Torah. But if I do your mitzvah and didn't do my mitzvah, then I didn't fulfill my mission. So because we don't know which is my mitzvah, which is our mitzvah, that's why we do all the mitzvahs, as many as we can, hoping we're going to get to our mitzvah. Does that make sense? So the more mitzvahs we do, the more we have a chance of completing the entire Jewish nation. There's a Talmudic statement that says that if you have a headache, you should study the Torah. Now, I don't know about you, But if I have a headache, I have a hard time sitting and learning anything. Not only that, I've tried it and it didn't work. I had a headache. I tried to study the Torah and my headache got only worse. Didn't get any better. So what is the Talmud telling us that we should study the Torah? And the Talmud is actually telling us a brilliant idea. And he's saying that there is a certain part of the Torah that is contributing to your health. And when you study that part of the Torah, that will heal your headache. The problem is you don't know what part of the Torah it is. So therefore you study the Torah and maybe you'll reach the point that is going to heal your headache. So study many pages of the Talmud, many pages of the Torah, many verses of the Torah, because maybe that's going to be your verse that you need, that page, that line that's going to heal your headache. If all of us would study the Torah, if all of us would learn God's word, then our headaches will go away because somebody is learning my word. I'm connected to that person. Therefore, my headache will go away. So if I have a headache, that means there's a deficiency out there. There's something that's missing in the world. And we're not connected enough. So therefore, I have to work hard. It's a message for me. When I have a headache, I got to work harder to learn more, to pray better, to connect more. Understand? Because it's a message that I'm not doing my part. That's with the positive commandments. But there's also 365 negatives, meaning to say 365 things we should stay away from, not engage in it. When I engage in something, that's a positive act. When I disengage, when I don't engage, I stay away from it. So there's positive commandments and there's negative commandments. Maybe my negative commandment is to stay away from something. Don't engage in whatever that particular activity or that thing is. By me staying away from it, I'm fulfilling my life's mission. Which is why righteous people throughout the ages would stay away from many things. There's a Yiddish statement that goes like this. Was me tar nicht, tar me nicht. Was men meg, darf man euch nicht. That which you're not allowed to do, you're not allowed to do. It's not even a question. That which you're allowed to do, you don't either have to do. Not because something is permitted doesn't mean you're allowed to, you should do it. Because it's permitted, because food is kosher, you don't have to eat everything in your refrigerator. You can eat just a little bit. That's enough just to sustain yourself, right? Because it's permitted, we don't have to engage in everything. What we're not allowed to do, okay, if I'm not allowed to do it, certainly I'm never going to do it. But what I'm allowed to do, I don't have to do. So each of us then has the power, in other words, to fulfill all the 613 commandments. How? By connecting to our fellow Jews, by realizing we're part of one another. We are all holding each other's hands. That's on a global level. Let's bring it back down to a smaller level, okay? To each and every one of us. On a micro level, on a personal level, we have the power to control our actions. We have the power to control our thoughts. We have the power to control our speech. It's easier to control our actions than our speech and our thoughts. It's easier to control our speech than it is our thoughts, but we can also control our thoughts. It may not be easy, but we can do it. When we recognize, when we wake up in the morning, that there's a whole world out there that needs me because I can change and make things better, I realize that God has entrusted this power in my hands. Therefore, how can I allow the day to go to waste? How can I allow this item that somehow I bought for whatever reason to go to waste? Let me see how I can use it to elevate it. Some people take recycled items and make beautiful art out of it. That's an amazing idea. They're taking something that would otherwise be discarded and they're transforming it into something beautiful. We have that same power to take that which seems to be unimportant and transform it, use it for something holy. We can take the words that we say, or the words that come out of our mouth, and speak beautifully We then are transforming the gift of speech and utilizing it to elevate the person we are engaged in or ourselves. It's okay to speak to ourselves sometimes also, as long as it's going to be used to elevate for the proper purposes. And so this is why when a person prays, I don't know if you've ever noticed, people pray, they like to shake. Yeah, they shake a lot. Why do they shake? Because when we pray, we want to engage every part of our being, our mouth, our hands, our feet, our back, every limb of our body. We want to engage in the prayer. Why? Because we want to elevate everything. Prayer is not just a mindful game, although it's that also. It's not just speech, although it's also that. It is a complete, wholesome activity. We are engaging every part of our being. There's one mitzvah that captures this more than any other mitzvah, and that is the mitzvah of charity. Charity has a unique commandment that it says that Gedela Tzedakah, great is charity, that it includes all other commandments. Tzedakah actually does not really mean charity. Tzedakah really means righteousness. When we behave in a righteous manner, we take the funds that we have and use it for righteous purposes. Because charity oftentimes means, okay, I want to give charity, I don't want to give charity. Do I want to be generous or not? Righteous things means it's not up to me. I have the obligation to be righteous. That's part of my role in this society, in this world. So when I utilize the funds that I have for something good, for something charitable, I'm then saying that all my hard work that I put in to get this, all the hard work that everybody else put in, that I should have this funds, and I'm using it for something good, I'm elevating everything, which is why it includes all the commandments. Because through simply putting one coin in the charity box, I am elevating hundreds and hundreds of things. My entire wholesome being, I'm elevating through putting in that one little coin. Which is also why it says that charity saves us from death. Tzedakah tatzim avos. Charity saves from death. Why? Because when I give charity, I'm elevating not only me, but everything else that helped me get that money into my bank account or into my wallet. And I'm also connected with everybody else that is waiting for me to fulfill my mitzvah, my commandment, which means that I'm saving everything in the entire world. We're elevating the whole world. So it saves us from death. What is death? Death is the absence of life. So when we engage in something that's life, we are imbuing the entire world with a life force. So me doing one simple act, by taking the one coin, putting it into the charity box that's sitting on my table or in my house, which hopefully everybody has, we are elevating the entire world. And this is the power that God gives each and every one of us. To embrace the world that we live in, not hate it, not want to run away from it, but to see it as a blessing in disguise. We can take it, we can elevate it, use it for the proper purposes. But then there's also, we can't forget that certain things we have to completely discard because there's no way we can elevate it. So a simple example would be, there's a reason why God told us not to eat certain foods. Certain foods are forbidden. We don't have the power to elevate it. A neutral food, by us saying a blessing and utilizing the energy we got from that food, the vitamins, and using it for the proper purposes, we're elevating that food because that's a food that is elevatable. I don't even know if that's a word. But there's certain foods that are certainly not in our purview to elevate, and those are come from the three unholy klippos, as we started off saying, that we don't have the power to elevate.
Down, open.
And that, my friends, is a gift that we're given. And let's realize the beautiful faith that God has in us, and indeed utilize every moment that we have for living a more meaningful, uplifting, and beautiful life. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Great lesson.
Thank you.